समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Okay, now last time we did up to verse 11, which said that with this you nourish the gods and may those devas nourish you. Thus, nourishing one another, you shall attain the highest good. Now, you see, the next verse also is a continuation of what we did last time. So, I'll read it. Ishtan bhogan hevo deva dasyante yajna bhavitaha tedartana pradayebhyo yo bhunkte stena eva saha. It says, the devas nourished by the sacrifice will give you the desired object. Indeed, he who enjoys objects given by the devas without offering in return to them is verily a thief. Now, just look at this. This is an amazing verse, you know. It very clearly, I mean, very categorically and very strongly says that anybody who does not contribute to the world that he is living in, who does not produce for the benefit of others, or who in no way is serving society, is verily a thief. That means he only takes from the world and he doesn't give anything to the world, right? Now, here, look what he says. The devas nourished by the sacrifice. Now, last time also, the devas were mentioned, and I had told you that deva means the giving potential, the potential to award, the potential to give in any field. And I told you that's why that in religions across the world, we have personified gods and goddesses. I mean, we have personified nature into gods and goddesses. That is, rivers, bushes, trees, mountains, plants, leaves, even animals, insects, everything is deified, as they say. So, like, why we have done it is because it is easily for the mind to capture a picture of a human being, capture the picture of a god or goddess. Otherwise, if you say the goddess of victory, okay, I told you last time that Nike was the Greek goddess of victory, of which the shoes are named today. Now, victory has been symbolized and personified to a goddess, like that. So we also in India, see, we worship rivers, we worship plants, worship trees, mountains, we worship animals, we worship, I mean, what is there we don't worship? Of course we worship, but then we worship in the form of human. So these are all devas that give to us. So this is a cosmic circle of give and take, give and take. Even a plant, if you do not nourish the plant will not have the capacity to give you anything. It will not have the capacity to grow into a tree or to bear fruit, isn't it? Similarly, in any endeavor, unless you put in the effort, you will not get the result. So he's saying exactly that over here, that this is, and look at this is not Karl Marx speaking, this is Krishna speaking. The same theory, that everybody must contribute their efforts and then they will give the result. Now, these are the economics of the Vedic period. Just look at this. A little sacrifice by each member of the family gets together to form a yagna. which in the Vedic language was called yagna, not this performance of havan. So everything, every effort that you put in, you you invoke the giving potential, which is here called deva. So here now he says, see, ishtan bhogan hevo deva. So nourished by the sacrifice, he will give you the desired object. Ishtan means the desired object, and you want something, you have to work for it, you have to contribute your effort for it. So this is what, so it is a principle of give and take. दो वृत्तियां होती हैं. One is of a cultured person who is called sakshara. Sa akshara, akshara is akshara gyan. Somebody who is educated is called sakshara, literate you can translate it as. But here it, sakshara doesn't only mean literate, it means an educated human being. और उसका उल्टा होता है राक्षस. आप देखो, साक्षर, write it, and then rakshasa is the ulta of sakshara. So one is a civilized human being and another is a valueless, aggressive, violent human being who does not care for the feeling of others or does not contribute anything. He is only for me, my importance and myself. That person is a rakshasa. A cultured person will always do cooperative effort, and he will sacrifice his selfish will for the benefit of the community around him, and he will accommodate all those around him. Now, this kind of a theory is a perfect theory in theory, huh? But when you bring it in practice, then what happens? In practice, a lot of people, all of us in fact, the ego comes up in bits and pieces here, there, everywhere. It is me, me, me. What am I getting? Am I getting a name and fame? Am I earning some money out of it? Am I getting some importance even out of it? If I'm getting nothing, why should I do? That attitude is decried over here as an attitude of a sinner. In fact, he calls him a thief. He says he is a thief who only does for himself, me and myself, me and myself. So that is not the attitude it should be. Thinking up of an idea is always a good thing, but working it and putting it into practice is the effort that spirituality is teaching you about. So a lot of teamwork has to go into making anything into an effort. Please understand, this is what he is saying over here. He is translating the ritualistic law into modern language. Krishna is doing that over here, that anything that requires effort will give result. In short, understand it only that much. A dancer, unless the dancer or musician does riyaz means practice. He goes on doing riyaz, goes on doing practice. Till then, he will not show perfection. So the reward will come only with the effort that person has put in. A runner, an Olympic runner, do you realize how much of effort they put in? Years and years of practice, toning up the muscles, strengthening the body, the diet, the everything. And then that effort when he puts in, he gets the result of an Olympic gold medal. You don't get it just like that. So this is a story of give and take. The more you give in the society, that much the society rewards you. And it is not just society, it is a cyclical natural phenomena. It is a cycle of nature. You tender nature, you respect nature, nature will respect you back. It's an ecosystem that takes place in there. Now, see, whenever you upset this law, this harmonious law of life, whoever upsets it by living only a selfish life, he is always punished by nature. And this is a very familiar idea in modern finance today. You can ask bankers, you can ask treasury benches, you can ask all those finance experts in banks that there are, that any individual who is not contributing to society is a liability in the world. They say that because he is not a contributor, he is only a consumer. Gurudev used to say this very categorically, that every single day, a spiritual seeker should have done something that is selfless, totally selfless. Not even by a shade or a hint, there should be some selfish gain in that action. Only then he is a giver in the society. But if he is doing that action for himself, then he is not no giver. That is a bargain. That is an investment in business. It is commerce. I have done this for you, now you do this for me. That kind of a thing. So that is a, now I have said that this is a modern finance idea only for the reason that it is so true, that without offering your own effort, if you take from society only, then you are a social thief. And that is the reason he says over here, ye dekho, he says without offering it to them is very, whoever you offer to, whatever you do. See, I do it, this reminds me, this reminds me of my grandparents. I never understood the idea at that time. I used to think it just some kind of a ritual they do. But now I appreciate it, remembering the past. When they sat down for their meals, they used to first always pray after, for to thank the Lord for the food they got, respecting the food, anna, after which they used to take out portions for the cow, for the dog, for the crow, for the insects, for the thing. And all of us children were given those one thing. Okay, go and feed it to this one, go and feed it to that one. And we used to race for it. Now, what was that? And every meal, this was this only, that I cannot eat unless I have fed somebody else. Think about it. And previously, people used to wait for a guest to come. Can you imagine? People used to wait for a guest to come, that somebody should come into my house and he should be fed first. Then I have a right to eat. Otherwise, I don't have a right to eat. That much was Hinduism. Think about it. And somebody said it very nicely. You know, it's an amazing thing. He said, it is in Hindi. It says, लोग बैठे हैं कि कोई आए तो हम खाएं. अब लोग बैठे हैं कि ये जाए तो हम खाएं. Imagine that you are waiting for a guest to go so that you can eat. Isn't this what he is talking about? And this is only about food on the table. What about the other efforts that one makes? All the other efforts in the society, no matter what job you're doing, no matter what business you are doing, little bit you must offer to the society. I still remember Gurudev in Kanpur when he was taking a yagna, a young doctor came and prostrated to him and said, Gurudev, please bless me. I am starting my practice. I was sitting there and Gurudev said to him, I will bless you only on one condition. And that condition is that every single day you will treat at least one poor patient free. You will not charge anything. You can even give him medicine if he can't afford it, but you must treat him free. Now this will, now see, the doctor in any case is serving society, but he's serving it for earning money. Here is one patient that he treats free, is his service to the society, is his contribution to society. Now look how simply Gurudev told him. He can even treat 5 patients free. How does it matter? So any person and every person with whatever skill he has, he should do this, that you must see who are the needy in society, who wants what, and you must give that. If you don't do it, if you are not doing it, then you are a thief. Look at the strong language the Gita uses. You are a social thief. Next verse. यज्ञशिष्टाशिनः सन्तो मुच्यन्ते सर्वकिल्बिषैः भुञ्जते ते त्वघं पापा ये पचन्त्यात्मकारणात्. This is also similar verse. It says, the righteous who eat the remnants of the sacrifice are freed from all sins. But those sinful ones who cook food only for their own sake verily eat sin. Look at this. Please look into your own homes. How many people are there who cook only for themselves? You will find a huge number. Huge number. Now here, the analogy of food is given, but that doesn't mean only food, as I have said. You can, yes, cook for yourself, but apart from that, you could be feeding insects, you could be feeding dogs, you could be feeding cows, you could be nurturing plants, you could be anything at all, but something else. So he is continuing the metaphor of the yajna, because Arjuna understood that. He was a student of the Vedic times, and so he understood that familiar ritual very well. And so the Lord is continuing that ritual metaphor. And here he says that you must have gratitude to the land that you were born in. You must have gratitude to the parents and the family that brought you up. You do not know how much of effort goes into bringing up a child. You do not know how much of effort goes in the society. There are teachers teaching you, isn't it? There are people manufacturing goods which you need every day in your home. Toothpaste, soap, even those are manufactured by somebody so that you can use them, right? The parents are educating you, nurturing you, feeding you, settling you, getting you married. And then the pertinent question, what have you done for them? How much have you done for them? Have you done anything at all for them? That is the question over here, that everybody must be in utter gratefulness to anybody, your parents, your teachers, the contributors in society, the generators of wealth in society, the generator of jobs in society. They all need to be respected. So if you can't do anything, at least show gratitude. So he says here, now I am reading, the righteous, that means those people who are doing the right thing, who eat the remnants of sacrifices, are freed from sin. Remnant of sacrifices here does not mean that after doing a havan, whatever prasad is left, you eat only that, then you are okay, otherwise you are a sinner. That is not the meaning. The meaning is that whatever you produce after freeing it for society, after feeding it to society, and after the society has used it, then you are allowed to also use it. But if only for yourself, see, but those sinful ones who cook food only for themselves, that person is a certain snatcher from the world. He is a thief in the world, and here he calls him a sinner. He is actually calling him a sinner because he in no way is paying his debt. The Brahmins in India have been asked to every day perform 5 yagnas, and those 5 yagnas are Deva Yagna, task from the beginning, Brahma Yagna, Dev Yagna, Pitra Yagna, and Bhuta Yagna, and Nri Yagna. Now, all these yagnas are what? Gratefulness to the one who gave you life, gratefulness to the parents, gratefulness to society, gratefulness to ancestors, Pitri, gratefulness to the Devas. Devas means the anything and everything that contributes to your life in this world, they are all Devas. So all that the Brahmins are supposed to do. Why? Because unknowingly you may have harmed people, unknowingly, with only good intentions, mind you, you may have hurt people, unknowingly you may have killed insects, unknowingly you may have swallowed germs, unknowingly. Now that is all life that you are harming, right? You are hurting people's emotions, you are hurting people, um, by speech and by action. Now all those, they say, if you do these 5 yagnas that I just named, you are forgiven those sins. Now it is not that these 5 sins you are forgiven, it is 5-fold sins you are forgiven. That is how it is listed in the scriptures. So understand that by giving you only gain. Giving should feel like receiving. It is only then that you feel fulfilled. See, there are people I know who, if they have not done anything good on that day, they feel like a sinner. They feel like a thief. They feel that we are a burden on this earth. And therefore, they even at night they go out to do something good for somebody. Can you imagine? There are people like this. I know them. So this is to be practiced, that in no way should you be harming, killing, hurting anybody, whether you do it emotionally, physically, or by speech or by action, nothing. So that is, otherwise you uska pratyavayu hota hai. Pratyavayu means every action has a reaction. So whatever you do will come back to you. Sooner or later, you can't escape it. Understand very, very clearly. You can never, never escape karma. And that is why it is a great benefit of Kali Yuga that we are living in Kali Yuga. In this Kali Yuga, thinking is not, bad thinking does not get bad karma. It is forgiven because our minds are all the time thinking wrong things. We are not able to control our mind. We hate people, you know in our minds we have wrong speech for them. In our minds, or sometimes we even speak things to people. So that, all that, understand that is action. So long as you do not bring it into physical action, which is action by the body, and it is only at the mind level, that is still forgiven in Kali Yuga. They say Kali Yuga में मानसिक पाप नहीं होते, सिर्फ मानसिक पुण्य होते हैं. And now there is another benefit of Kali Yuga. Think about it, so funny. It is that if you think nicely about somebody, you think of blessing somebody, you think कि इसका भला हो जाए, you think कि इसके साथ कुछ अच्छा हो जाए, that becomes a punya for you. So try to improve your thinking, try to chasten your thinking, try to purify your thoughts, because that is a very, very important. And wrong thinking in the mind about anybody in society is a dangerous path. I'm using Gurudev's words, is a dangerous path. Now we come to another 2 verses which are done together generally. Continuing the same idea. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyadanna sambhavah yajnad bhavati parjanyo yajna karma samudbhavah karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahmakshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yagne pratishthitam. Okay, I will read the meanings of translation. From now, this is interesting. These 2 verses are generally misunderstood, generally challenged by the intellectuals, questioned by university graduates. From food comes forth beings. From rain, food is produced. From sacrifice arises rain. This is the questionable part. From sacrifice arises rain. And sacrifice is born of action. Okay, next verse. Know you that action comes from Brahma, and Brahma comes from the imperishable. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahma ever rests in sacrifice. Okay. Now, this is again over here in the language of the Vedas, because in the Vedas everybody understood the young yajna metaphor. Now, here see, yajna, he says, from food comes forth beings. This much you understand or not? From food, your body is made from the food eaten by your parents. The body in the mother's stomach grows into a child. The fetus grows into a full grown child by the food the mother eats. When the child is born, again, the child grows by the food given to the child. In your whole life, your body is sustained by the food you eat. And when you die, the body becomes food for others in nature. Whether you go underground, or you are lying overground, or you are thrown into water or river, or you are burned, or whatever it is, you are recycled in this whole system. So this is a statement which tells you of the great natural cycle that takes place with food. So he says, from food comes forth beings, and from rain food is produced. This much is clear. Food will never be produced if there is no water. Rain has to come down for the food to grow, any food. Now, and also non-vegetarian food will not happen if there is no vegetation available, because the animals eat other animals, and those animals eat grass, or they eat plants, or they eat anything grown by the earth. If that doesn't grow, first the vegetarian animals will die, then the non-vegetarian animals will die. And there will be destruction. Your food will also stop. So here, here he says, from rain food is produced. Now, next step, from sacrifice arises rain. Now, here sacrifice does not mean yajna, though he is taking the symbolism of yajna. Okay, even if you take the ritual, in India, it is practiced and seen that whenever, even in the height of summer, if a yajna is performed, you will get a few drops of rain. It is seen all over India. But for massive rain to come down with which food is produced, that is not the case. So any educated person is going to ask that if it was just by Havan that the rain comes, then only Hindus will get the rain, because nobody else in the world does Yagna and Havan, isn't it? So then what does it mean? Obviously it doesn't mean that. Krishna could not be that foolish in saying something that sacrifice produces rain, though it actually does. Sacrifice, that means creating a psychological climate of cooperative productivity, where each member contributes his effort, time, and money. That is the offering that you make. The word used is sacrifice. What are you sacrificing? So from sacrifice arises rain. That means the climate conducive to production is created by cooperative effort. Sinking your differences amongst yourself, when you roll up your sleeves and work for a common goal, both put in effort for a common goal, the workers and the employers, they both put in effort towards a certain goal. Only then is business successful. Only then is any endeavor successful. One human being cannot do a business. You need workers, and those workers who will do a combined effort. So also, not only in business, in every sphere of life, that is the story. Teamwork is required. You know that great statement that the British Empire was built on the playgrounds of Eton. Eton is a famous college, public school, in a public college in UK. So this is a famous statement, because on the play fields you are taught team spirit. It is not only one person in a team who gets the glory, it is the whole team. Do you think that one Virat Kohli can win a match? No. He needs all those 11 players. Isn't that so? So it is a team effort in any field, whether you are doing business or you are running schools or you are running an institute of any sort, or you are whatever you are doing, there is teamwork that is required. So he is saying here that is what is here called sacrifice. Sacrifice means sacrifice of many people together will, and then he says that will bring down rain. He says from that arises rain. So rain is what? Rain is the potential which can make things grow, which can give fruit. Rain over here does not just mean water coming down from the skies. Rain over here means creating that atmosphere which will create, which will facilitate production of any kind. It will be facilitated only by the sacrifice made. And sacrifice is born of action. See, he is clearly saying to you, sacrifice is born of action. That means each person, through his work, through his effort, contributes to that one goal which everybody is running after. Now, this statement that the British Empire was built on the playgrounds of Eton is a statement that summarizes the truth of success. This is a statement that by coordinated effort, by cooperative effort, by mitigating your differences, by working together to produce any one thing, it is only like that a result will come. And therefore the saying, God helps those who help themselves. And that is why he says action. Sacrifice is born of action. Now, the next verse, which says, the cosmic wheel of cooperative action is being narrated in the familiar language of the Vedas that I have told you, that it is being in the language of the Vedas. It is that action comes from Brahma. Brahma here is the creator. So unless there is creation, there can be no action. So action comes from Brahma, and Brahma comes from the imperishable. Imperishable is that one great grand truth in Hinduism called Brahma. Brahma is different from Brahma. The great grand reality of this world, the life force of this world, the existence of this world, without which nothing is possible, is called Brahma. And Brahma is the creative force of that great reality. Okay, so he says here, and Brahma comes from the imperishable. Therefore, the all-pervading Brahma, whom you may call God, you may call God, you may call Mr. X if you don't want to say God. If you don't want to say Mr. X, you can say the life force, you can say nature, you can say what you like, you name it anything. Doesn't matter. Allah, Ishwar, Christ, what you name it, it has got no meaning. It's just a name. But it is the name of that great grand reality without which nothing functions. So he says, and therefore the all pervading means he is everywhere. There is not even a pinpoint of a place where he is not. You are also in it. So think of yourself as sitting in that great grand reality's lap. You are working from his lap. How will he not bless you if your intentions are good? So he says that therefore the all-pervading Brahma, God, ever rests in sacrifice. Ever rests in sacrifice means that he is the creative urge which enables you to function. Huh. No body. This body is only a mass of, it is a mass of flesh, bones, fecal matter, urine, whatever else is there in the body, all kind of horrible things, nicely packaged. But this body, we all know, the doctors know it better than anybody else, cannot function, even a finger cannot, that body cannot lift without this force. And therefore he is saying that the all-pervading Brahma ever rests in sacrifice. That means he is the one who urges you, propels you to work. So on the face of it, this these two verses may read funny to a newly haloed educated person who comes out of the university thinking he knows all. But this, and definitely he has to question, and why not he should question. But he must understand that these are verses from the Vedic language, as I said, and they are carrying on a metaphor from the Vedas to make Arjun understand, whose whole education was in the Vedic tradition. And so it is that. Now, uh, Now, see, under this, I try to explain this to you that only the fruit can only be born by effort, and that effort, you know how it comes. You are nourished by plants, plants are nourished by rain, rain comes from everybody's effort. Even the cycle of nature is the effort from which rain comes. You know, the sea and the water rising from the sea, and then the clouds getting densed up, and then come the water coming down and all the rest of it. It's a cycle. Everything is a natural cycle in the world of sacrifice. Rain gives, rivers give, trees give, fruits give, plants give. Huh? Everybody in the world is in a cycle of giving. So why not human beings? And unless and until human beings in the harmonious circle learn to give, and they intelligently employ their actions into sacrifices, and you do this whole action of plowing, sowing, weeding, waiting, gathering, before you come to enjoy the fruits. So all that action has to take place. And unless action takes place, nothing, you cannot gain any fruit at all. So here, this is it. And it is a honest effort for the good of all in society is what these verses are advocating. So this is a life in harmony, a life in unison, a life in cooperative effort. And this is the wheel of action that takes place in the entire world. and human being is part of that world. So all these verses really read from a book in communism by Karl Marx, but this is Krishna speaking, that unless everyone puts in effort, nothing will happen. And everyone has to join that, sinking your own selfish desires, sinking your own differences, all work in a spirit of sacrifice. So that much for today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.